What is going on, comic book gang? My name is Jancy, aka Year of the Collector, and I'm back again with another episode of One World Under Doom. This time, we are going over Fantastic Four number 31 by Ryan North, Corey Smith, Jesus Aburtov, and Joe Caramagna, and Oren Jr. in the inks. This is technically episode 10 on this channel covering One World Under Doom, but like I have said before, this is technically episode 28 out of 61. There's way too many tie-ins for me to read and cover for you guys, so I'm only covering, the Avengers, the Thunderbolts, the Fantastic Four, and the main titles of this event. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. This issue begins with a walk down memory lane, with Valeria Richards being the narrator of the events that take place on this issue 31. Sue, Johnny, Ben, and Reed were launched in Marvel 1. They ended up being showered in cosmic rays. You know the story, right? But there's a reason Valeria is starting with the origins of the Fantastic Four. Something happened, something changed, and all of it will be revealed at the end, so stick around. It all started with Ben Grimm, formerly known as The Thing. He came back from therapy. As you know, he was mentally and emotionally struggling with his new state after Doom cured, or rather reversed, his condition and made him human again, against Ben's will, mind you. Alicia said to Ben how proud she was of him for seeking help with his problems, and personally, I want to say I am also very proud of Ben. So while they figure out what's the next move for Ben, Alicia believes that it's just a matter of time before it's all back to normal. But no, it's not that simple. Ben said that back when Sue and Reed were missing, Johnny and Ben discovered that their powers faded away too. So check this out. If one of the Fantastic Four loses their powers, all of them will lose their powers eventually as well. And it doesn't necessarily be that they lose their powers, but if they're not in the universe, it will also affect the other members. I had no idea this was a thing, or that they were dependent on each other like that. What Ben is talking about is the fact that Sue, Reed, Valeria, and Franklin disappeared during the Secret Wars event of 2015. A lot of things happened during Secret Wars. You could check the entire event to learn more about it, but Ben Grimm's flashback memories of this can be found in Marvel 2-in-1 series from 2017. When the heroes were facing the incursions, Sue herself had a feeling they were not going to make it, and she was right. Marvel's first family was gone from comics for a while, almost 3 years to be more exact. And during that time, you could find the Thing hanging out with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Human Torch was with the Inhumans for a while, and he also had a stint with the Avengers. But in 2017, Johnny and Ben started to have problems with their powers, as shown in the Marvel 2-in-1 issue number 1. And later, they figured out it was because Sue and Reed were missing. As you may know, the Fantastic Four made their return to Marvel Comics in 2018 by way of Dan Slott's Fantastic Four run. Listen, I understand that fans have their issues with Slott's run because of some retcons he made in his writing. I get it. I'm not Slott's biggest fan either, after he killed my favorite superhero. But we're not going to talk about that. I did read this run, at least the first 20 issues, and I thought it was fine. But then again, I'm just a casual when it comes to the Fantastic Four lore. Speaking of, we go back to issue 31. The Fantastic Four, or rather, the Fantastic Three now, were fighting this bad guy called Devos the Devastator. No threat really, they were handling easy. Then out of nowhere, the Human Torch went out during mid-flight and had to be saved by Mr. Fantastic. They decided to deal with it at home and not discuss this problem in public. But as time kept passing by, the powers of Reed started to dwindle. According to Valeria, Reed started to hurt when stretching, so they had to do something. So everyone put on their thinking caps and brainstormed for a little while. It was Ben's adopted children, Joe and Nikki, who came up with the idea of exposing Ben to the cosmic rays that gave him the power in the first place. But there was just one problem with that idea. The cosmic rays that hit the Fantastic Four were one of a kind, and they only existed in that moment in the past. Valeria stated that going back to the past was way too risky. I want you to remember this because it will come back into play, those words by Valeria. Finally, Franklin stated the obvious. This universe isn't the only source of those specific cosmic rays. They live in a multiverse, and they know for a fact there are more Fantastic Four families besides them. And a perfect example of this is the Council of Reeds. I'm sure you heard or seen at least something about it. Just in case you haven't, the Council of Reeds is a group composed of various versions of Reed Richards from across the multiverse. They came together to, quote unquote, solve everything and deal with major threats such as Galactus and Doctor Doom, etc. The council first appeared in 2009's Fantastic Four number 507 and comprises multiversal variants of Reed Richards who had designed and created the technology known as the bridge, allowing them to meet each other. Pretty simple, right? So here's the plan. They were going to travel to another universe, expose Ben to the cosmic rays of a different universe without affecting their own past. And to avoid altering the timeline in the alternate universe, Sue was going to use her shields to avoid being seen by anyone. Well, as long as she could do it anyways, because her powers are also dwindling. With all of this in mind, they traveled to a different universe. They followed the Marvel 1 rocket that carried the other versions of themselves, and when the cosmic rays passed by, Ben got out and got showered by all the pretty lights. They watched this universe version of themselves return safe to Earth and develop powers. All boxes were checked. Mission accomplished. Everyone, let's return home and celebrate, right? Well, not so fast. As told by Valeria, it didn't work. Why? Not sure yet. But they didn't give up on Ben. They figured he just needed more exposure to the cosmic rays. So they had Ben put in the coordinates for another universe and off they went. Ben was exposed to more cosmic rays, but the results were the same. No change on Ben, while the Fantastic Four from that universe did change. Universe after universe, they saw the many versions of the Fantastic Four gain powers or change due to the cosmic rays, while Ben just stayed the same. Reed's theory was that maybe the conditions that gave them their powers required matter and cosmic rays from the same universe. At that point, everyone's spirits were down. Doubt started to settle in. Valeria realized that her mother's powers were diminishing. Sue wasn't going to be able to continue to use her force field to protect them from the cosmic rays. For as much as they wanted to help Ben, they were running out of time. Without talking to Ben, she felt it in her soul what he was about to do. He had all the data as everyone else. This mission was a failure unless they did the one thing Valeria said they shouldn't do: travel back in time in their own universe and attempt to get Ben his powers back, but it was way too risky. It could alter or change everything. You just never know what might happen. Even though she knew the risk, Valeria didn't say anything when Ben put in the coordinates for their own universe, and honestly, I don't know if I would have acted differently. At the end of the day, they all wanted to help Ben. I'm not sure if the adults in the ship knew they were back in their own universe besides Ben and Valeria. It's not explicitly said. The only thing that was clear is that they all knew they were out of time. There they were, back in Earth 616. Ben gets showered by the 616 cosmic rays. Reed's theory was correct. The 616 cosmic rays started to alter 616 Ben Grimm and reverse him back into the thing. Meanwhile, underneath them, the Marvel 1 returned to Earth safe, and the crew is alright. Everything happened like it was supposed to, with just one minor difference. They did not change. The Fantastic Four from the past were not affected by the cosmic rays because present time Ben Grimm was in the way and he absorbed too much of the rays, effectively rendering meaningless the dose that they took. As foretold by Valeria, this minor detail just changed their entire timeline. With the crew returning to Earth unchanged, this erased the entire Fantastic Four as we know them. This erased the entire Fantastic Four as we know them from ever existing in the Marvel's Earth 616. I hope I explained this in a clear way, but just in case I didn't, and you're wondering what does all of this mean? It means there's no Fantastic Four. Doom's actions sent them on a path where they ended up erasing themselves from history, at least in the way we know them. As I recall, there are some comics from the What If line where the Fantastic Four went on with their lives without powers, and they still managed to be heroes in their own way. So maybe we'll see something similar in the next issue, but who's to say? Valeria did narrate this entire ordeal, so we can assume they might have just gone to some sort of limbo, or they're existing now somewhere out of time and space. Who's to say? I guess we'll find out in issue number 32. What do you think happened to them? Let me know in the comments. With that being said, I want to thank you for watching. You have a blessed day, and remember to read more comics.